glass windows in the homes of Henry Mancini,
Ooh, that's Henry's house? Nice.
Richard Dreyfuss,
Great window.
and other Beverly Hills residents all have one thing in common. They were designed by our next guest.
And making stained glass is not as difficult as it looks. It may sound a little intimidating. Look at this beautiful piece here. Ooh, what a dramatic effect. Lights down in the studio. Here to show us how is expert Steve Bourne. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Rob.
Nice to see you.
Hi, Karen.
How are you?
He's got a pretty good story about how he got started in stained glass. What happened?
Well, I was doing a soap opera on another network that shall remain nameless, and they killed off my character.
No.
Yeah, sad as it is, but rather than sit around and wait for the next call from my agent, I decided to start a business on the side.
Good for you.
And got into it.
And you're booming. Great. What do we need here?
Well,
We need to start this
let me
somehow.
show you. What we're going to do, basically, is build a puzzle and put the puzzle pieces back together, and we're going to interweave it with lead.
Okay.
Now, to start, we're going to do this little 14-piece flower today. So once we have our design, we take it and sandwich some carbon paper between that and some brown wrapping paper. Now, we'll tack it down so it stays in place.
Okay.
Had it tacky. I knew Kim was going to say that.
Then we just trace the line. Every line, just take a ballpoint pen, trace right around all over our design.
And number it, too.
And then number it, because some of the pieces are going to look similar. So you want to make sure you've got the right piece in the right place when we rebuild it. What happens is we come out in the end, and our original design looks the same with the numbers on it, and we now have a carbon of our pattern.
Okay.
Great.
On a little heavier paper, that's the key.
Right, and I'll show you how that works later. Then we take our regular shears, just move right down along the outside of the border. Then when we cut the inside pieces out, we use special shears. They're pattern shears. Now, not only do they separate the pieces from one another, but they also take out a 1/16 of an inch right between each piece.
Pattern show. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
Wow.
takes out a
Why
1/16.
is that important?
Well, because the channel of the lead is going to go right down the center.
Well,
This allows us to put it all back together just like a puzzle, but with the space missing to incorporate the lead.
How much are these guys?
These cost about $7.
So they're not a lot expensive.
No, it's actually pretty cheap to get into this.
Wow.
Now, once we've cut all our pattern pieces apart, then it's for the glass breaking part. And I say
Right.
breaking instead of cutting, because what we do is take a little glass cutter, dip it in some oil, because it's a smooth cut, and there are 3 cuts. There's a straight cut, there's outside curves, and inside curves. Now, the straight one is the easiest. You just move your wheel along, take your glass,
Wow.
Oh, that looks easy.
snaps like a cracker. Yeah, give this a try.
like fun,
It's a
doesn't it?
lot easier than what it looks like.
Do I have to dip it in stuff?
Yeah, just
You also
lightly
have
in the
color
oil.
glass, too, right?
Like
All
this?
sorts of glass. And then just move the wheel along. There you go. Put your thumbs on both sides of the score you've made.
Like that?
Snap it like a saltine.
Now, can this be dangerous? Can you cut yourself?
No, the only danger is you don't want to slide your hands along the edges. But as long as you're holding the surface, you're fine.
It's not really the sharpest thing in the world.
No, it's not. Now, the other 2 cuts you want to make are, if we were trying to save the majority of this piece and get rid of the outside part, this would be an outside curve. Again, you snap it just the same way. It's basically the same as a straight cut.
Pretty simple.
Now,
That's the easy outside curve, but
Yeah.
here's the tougher one.
the tough one is if we were trying to save a piece that had a curve that cut to the inside, like so, then we take the back end of a glass cutter that you may have seen in your father's old storeroom but never knew how it worked. Anyway, we take the metal ball, we start fracturing the glass at each end, and work that towards the center, and eventually the piece just pops right out.
Cowabunga.
So that's it. I mean, after those 3 cuts, you can cut any piece of glass.
And how would
Now, you've got some other, these are
Oh, yeah, there's
colored glass.
there's
You
about-
buy these?
Yeah, you buy them in sheets. They sell them in 10-inch squares. There's about 2,000 kinds of glass.
Okay.
Colors, textures, all that kind of thing.
And
Once we cut all our glass pieces, then we get to the leading part. Now, the lead itself comes in these soft ropes. They're like 6 feet long. It's very soft and pliable, easy to cut. So from there, we take a piece and we clip it in a little lead.
Now, are there 2 kinds of leads?
There are. For the outside portion on the border, we're going to use a U lead, the one that's on the left of your screen. And for the interior that holds 2 pieces of glass, we use the H-style lead.
All right.
So we
I
take
got my lead straight.
We got your lead together, get the lead out.
Yeah,
that's what
gotcha.
you have on
Okay,
your
we put the lead in the vise. We just give it a little stretch. This takes out all the wrinkles and any misfigurations. Okay, just stretch it about an inch. There we go.
Just happen to be screaming lead.
Once we've got it, you just clip off a piece. I'm using wire cutters for this, yeah. You form it around the piece you want to put in first. Now what we've done is we've taken our pattern, put it down on a piece of plywood as big as the project we're doing, cut a couple of pieces of the U lead for the outer border, place those in. We're going to build into a right-hand corner here. And our first piece in that corner is this one. So we take the lead, some of the H lead, we just form it right around the glass piece itself. Now we
See that?
Now we
turning it right around.
We trim off the excess by allowing for the fact that there's going to be some lead that holds on this side and another piece of lead is going to go on here.
So you cut less than the piece of glass? Or?
Right. We cut just a little bit short of the edges, like so. Now I'm taking a razor blade here. You can use an X-Acto knife.
Look at that, boy. I thought lead was tougher than that.
No, it just
Cuts like butter.
cuts like butter.
So when somebody says get the lead out, you say, hey, no big deal.
So there we go, and there's our first piece, and it's in.
Great.
We go along like that. We add in the second piece. You just build along with your pattern. Keep cutting.
And you're building out?
You build out. When you get to a point where you need to stop or leave, you can just put a nail in there, and that'll hold everything tight. And the same when you get to the outer edges. Now, once we've leaded our piece together, we get to the soldering part. We've locked in, we put in the border lead on the outside, we put in 2 strips, then we get some glass flux. And all this is a compound we put on each joint, and it makes the solder stick to the lead itself.
No, you get this at
You can get this at your craft stores, stained glass supply, hardware stores. It's a common enough thing. We take our solder, and we've got a hot soldering iron, and we just...
Do we all know the brand name of the soldering
I
iron?
believe it's a Weller soldering iron.
Now, unfortunately, we're not related, because if we were, I'd be a wealthy man.
Okay. You sure you're not related? Well, okay. Now we just bite off just a little piece off the end of our solder, and we heat the joint, very quick. Just make it look nice.
So I would imagine the more you do of this, the better you get at putting your lead and solder in.
Absolutely.
Wow, that really melts quick.
It does. You just touch each joint as you come along.
Boy, don't touch that stuff, too. It can be real hot.
Does that cool down real quick?
It cools down real quick, and when you're done, you always want to unplug your soldering iron, just like you're ironing clothes.
What does our finished flour look like today, Steve?
Our finished flour comes out like this, and after scrubbing it with a brush to blacken it and make it look antique, this is what we end up with.
Very nice. There you go. How about that? You can get a big stained glass window today. Steve, good job. Thank you very, very much. Hope you get back on the soap, sir.
Oh, thanks. Talk to my agent.
We'll give him a call. We're going to be right back. Stay with us.